Oilers Nation After Dark begins now.
The sweet, sweet taste of victory. It's back, baby. A fantastic goaltending performance from Calvin Pickard. Brett Kulak continues to carry the squad on the back end for the last 2 games. It wasn't pretty, but it was a win, damn it. And that's really all that matters right now, Daniel. 2 teams tonight that have been spiraling lately. Felt like neither one really wanted to win this hockey game at points, but nevertheless, beggars cannot be choosers. The Edmonton Oilers defeat the Carolina Hurricanes by a score of 3-1. And they finally rejoice, everybody. They end their dreaded 5-game losing streak and begin the month of March with a big, fat, orange W. Brett, hit it for me. I want to see some dubs. There it is, damn it. We are so back, baby. I mean, hey, whatever. It's 1 game, but it was a must-win possibly for the Edmonton Oilers in this one. A great way to end their terrible, terrible road trip. But as we said, it ends positively. Hello, what up, and welcome to Oilers Nation After Dark. I am your host, Bordzy, and ONAD is a presentation of Bet365 because whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app today and use the promo code NATION. The chat, been feeling bad for you guys lately. It's been dark times in here lately, but right now it's off the chain, not owie. Calvin Pickard was elite tonight. He's thrown out the E word. Your new stepdad says, I take it all back. We're going 16-0 in the offs. Augusto says June is our month. You're damn right it is. Percy, Oilers about to go streaking. Bosch with a cup, yeah. There it is. Bosch is in also with a La Bamba. I haven't heard La Bamba in weeks now, right? It feels like 3 weeks. So it's gonna be. I'm gonna have to put that one on my Instagram story with a post with a big fat orange W. Bella, you can't keep the Oilers down for long because it's a cup. Yeah. Rusty's in and says Calvin Pickard and Brett Kulak. They both carried the team. Unreal performance from both of them. Also says in here from Percy, give Pickles all the stars. Mr. Cates, who was on Evander Kane's ass in the chat earlier today, says finally an empty net goal that cashed the Evan Bouchard shot prop with 0 point something seconds left. I was going nuts right there when that ended. So that helped me and the bankroll. Mike says the Oilers are back, Bordzy. Sadistics in and says woof woof. Brett, if you're behind there and you want to, where my dogs at? Because the boys are so back right now. And then, of course, there's a lot of whoofs in here, a lot of cup years in here. And then there's some super chats in here. Reminder, all of your super chat donations are in support of the Ben Stelter Foundation, a cause very near, very dear to all of our hearts, doing awesome stuff in cancer research, transformative philanthropy, and also just giving kids and families struggling with it just magical, awesome experiences as well. Speaking of magical and awesome, Tammy's in. Of course she is. $10 says, all hail the fermented cucumber. Cup, yeah. Stick taps and hearts for Ben. Always a fermented cucumber would be a pickle, baby, because Calvin Pickles was off the hook. And then Mr. Burns, a regular, donated a ton in this chat before. She needed a W because she threw in $50 and says, hope will never die. This is for Ben, for Calvin, or Captain Picard. Nice. I'm going to say it like Picard in that sense. And fucking La Bamba, baby. Cup, yeah.
Cup, yeah.
And then, of course, Rusty's in, says a W is a W, no matter how it looks. Bouchard, first power play goal of the season. That's nuts. Undefeated in March. Cup, yeah, baby. Let's go. Oilers. Rusty's also in, and he says picks 3 stars. He gets first, second, third. I don't care. Alex is in as well. Says praise our Lord's and Savior, Calvin Pickard. Like I said, Dan, rejoice. The Edmonton Oilers officially off the schneid. You can tell this chat. They're positive. They're jovial because it's been dark times. And I said it's been 3 weeks now without an Edmonton Oilers W for us to celebrate in the post-game chat. The final game of the roadie, right? I mentioned on pre-gaming, my storyline was empty the tank, unload the clip, do whatever you have to do to not make Tuesday against the Anaheim Ducks a must-win hockey game. And they do it without Darnell Nurse in the lineup. They do it with their backup goaltender in the crease. I won't lie to you, I was pretty 50-50 on this game before. I wasn't super confident, didn't bet on any points, just specifically shots on goals. But Daniel, we are starting off the month of March with a big fat orange W. How are you feeling? Give me your initial thoughts.
Well, hey, I can really respect and I can feel the emotion in the chat. I don't think I've been maybe riding the roller coaster as much as pre-gaming and After Dark fans do when it comes to that emotional ride. And I get it. I understand it. For me, it is a positive that we had a W, but it was a good thing that we were lined up against the Carolina Hurricanes tonight and not one of the, other 19 or 20 teams that are clicking right now. Pretty rough hockey game all around, outside of, like you mentioned, Brett Kulak and Calvin Pickard, who I feel like we are going to be focusing on a lot tonight, but which is rightfully so. But yeah, I just not the best game in the world, but hey, at this point, we take wins the way we can get them. And I think that this is something that they can build off of. And as you mentioned, got the Anaheim Ducks up next. So why not take this W and turn it into a small win streak instead?
So we got to celebrate there for approximately like 5-6 minutes. And then you're right, Dan. That wasn't a great effort from the Edmonton Oilers. They're not playing the Carolina Hurricanes, a team that is equally or maybe more so struggling than the Oilers were, because they looked rough. There was a lot of sloppiness in this game, a lot of turnovers in this game. And then, he's the story. He's the everything tonight for me. It's Calvin Pickard, baby. He was fantastic in this hockey game. I thought especially in the first period as well, right? Like, he was tested up plenty with some good high danger chances. And yet again, Calvin Pickard continues to give his team a chance to win. And I would say most of his starts this season. I don't want to get too specific in it, but 20 starts on the season. 21 now, I guess it would be 15, 6-0 on the year. He made so many big stops in this hockey game. He looked dialed in. He was getting run into at points. I was like, he's so on his game. Brett Kulak, you can't be running your goaltender. Turns out Mikko Rantanen, you just totally screwed your team with that late penalty there. But Pickard, he had struggled in each of his last two starts, right? He'd lost both of them. Both were sub 900. Before that, he had won 6 games in a row. And yes, some of them against lesser opponents, the more cherry-picked ones tonight. No matter what they've been lately, that's still a Carolina Hurricanes team with plenty of talent all over the place. Regardless of how they've been playing lately, that was a tough opponent. Calvin Pickard, fantastic, right? On the evening, he makes 35 saves on 36 shots for a .972 save percentage. Calvin Pickard, the guy who pretends to be Calvin Pickard in the chat, if you're not in here right now, I don't know what you're doing, because this is the time to receive your flowers. Dan, Calvin Pickard was awesome tonight.
Yeah, you can see it in the chat. It's bubbling up. This city is looking at the goaltenders right now with a pretty fine eye, understandably so. And credit to Calvin Pickard. There has been a couple of games recently where he seems to have kind of come back to the net a little bit and not gotten so lost in this game, and really just instilled that confidence that we were able to garner out of him when it came to the playoffs last year against Vancouver and beating the Canucks for us, keeping us into those finals. So, yeah, I think that the goaltender controversy is a little bit overblown. I think you will see Stuart Skinner back in the net against Anaheim, and we're going to be just fine. This team, and I think you've seen it when with the amount of penalties that they've been taking, just does not seem to have the same flow that it had prior to the break. That Colorado game was it felt like what was hopefully an anomaly of a performance, but really just feels like they have not had it together as a team in front of him since then. Really was thinking that they might be able to, kind of push around this Carolina team a little bit more than they were able to even tonight. So yeah, just not a performance that you wanted to have out of Pickard, but he was stellar when he needed to be, and he got the saves done, especially in that third period.
Dude, he was dialed in, by far the Oilers' best player. And then Brett Kulak, number 2, right behind him there. We'll get into it little bit more with the booms. Might be 2 games in a row that Brett Kulak gets 5 booms. That's 10 booms over a 2-game span. Unheard of here on Oilers Nation After Dark. Never been done before, so we will see and have to find out. But back to the Calvin Pickard thing, right? He was awesome in this game. I still agree with you. Stuart Skinner is the 1A. But of course, this chat disagrees wholeheartedly. Jeff Skinner, it's time for picks to cook. Start Pickard against the Ducks. Pickard needs a back-to-back. Picks net to lose. There won't be a trade for a goalie, but if there is, Picks won't be the one leaving town. All right, people. It's like I gotta tell you to bring it down a bit. But either way, hey, Stuart Skinner, Calvin Pickard, lately, both of them have not been ideal because, and I'd say it was tough to judge them, especially like the weekend against Philly and Washington. The team was so dog shit in front of them. I don't know if you could really get a proper grasp on their play. Devin Dubnyk said that as well. But in this one, Calvin Pickard, he stood tall. Troy also puts in the chat here, Henrique scored. Adam Rico Henrique did score a goal, and it was an ugly one. It was a greasy one. It was a shorthanded one, and it was absolutely beautiful as you see it here. I believe this was Matthias Janmark who wins that race, and then he zigzags with Rico in here. And what do you got to do? Simple hockey. You take it to the hoop. Rico, you got to be lucky to be good. You got to be good to be lucky. We got depth scoring from him. We got it from Corey Perry as well. Because lately, I mean, does not apply to Leon Draisaitl. That man is a man possessed. Was also extra pissy. Want to get into that in just a second. Love pissy Leon shirts. Probably still available on Oilersnation.com. But Corey Perry gets a depth goal as well because somebody points out in here, McPassenger needs to wake up. Ooh, what a chirp thrown in the chat right there. Maynard also said 97 with that late giveaway. Oh my God. If Calvin Pickard didn't stop that, and I mean, there once again, biggest save of the game in the biggest moment of the game after he'd already made 34 other huge saves in the game at this point. But if that game got tied up on a Connor McDavid dangling around the blue line on a power play with a minute left in the game, boy, oh boy, I don't know what this chat would have been like. But either way, Dan, we get some depth scoring to kind of, I guess, counteract that top line of the Edmonton Oilers. While I do think Connor McDavid, he had his moments. Once again, he's always going to go up and down the ice, have those things. I thought that top line 5v5, not what we were looking for, not what we've been hoping for Connor McDavid to turn it around. First thoughts on Connor's performance, and then the depth scoring.
Well, it's frustrating for coming from a guy in Connor McDavid who watched that with the Team Canada and needed to see more shooting and more of the superstars just kind of taking the ball and running with it. And you saw that again tonight in that early power play, even where these guys are still just looking for that extra pass. And it's frustrating. It's really frustrating as an Oilers fan. I mean, again, I always feel like I'm saying this, but far be it from me to tell the best player in the world how to play hockey. But darn it all, if that's not a player that has scored 40 goals in the NHL when he just wanted to, he decided to, and he did it, there's a shot there. So yes, I understand and I respect that the fans are able to call out the superstars too, because I do think that that's fair dinkum. They need to be shooting the puck more. But when it comes to the goal, the depth scoring, and a guy in Adam Henrique, which we know these are human beings and they understand the nature of the biz is that their jobs are never guaranteed on these teams. And Adam Henrique is a guy that's a name that started to come up here recently just because of that contract. And he comes out and has one of his best games of the season, just playing really strong on the puck there on that penalty kill. And you need more of that from everybody. Matthias Janmark had a great game tonight in the dirty areas up against the boards, playing strong. You need to have that from this team going forward. And I think that you guys touched on it. You and Brett touched on it early in the pregame show, talking about the blender and how maybe, just maybe, if Knobloch can give these guys the opportunity to kind of work together and get used to where their line mates are going to be on the ice, perhaps we can, come out of these struggles with a little bit better look going forward.
Now you mentioned that third line, right? They got absolutely caved against Florida. They were by far the worst line out there. They were all, I think the three of them each -3. I mean, take that for what you will, but it wasn't a good game for them. I thought throughout this one, whether it was shorthanded, because the Edmonton Oilers continue to want to take a lot of penalties in their last 2 games. More on that in the good, the bad, and the oily. But we did see that third line be a little bit more consistent, have some offensive at least touches in there. And then it's Corey Perry, the man. Dude, it's a bargain that he gets paid $1.15 million a season. That's his 13th goal of the season on the 4th line for the Oilers. Another one just going to the front of the net. Can't say enough good things about that depth scoring. But the man who delivered that beautiful, nasty, sick, disgusting, whatever word you want to use, backhand pass, Leon Draisaitl, it's just what he continues to do. But we saw a version of ye old Leon Draisaitl, the pissy Leon. Haven't seen it a ton this season, I would say. He's been the Oilers' best player, and he's been a leader through and through. But you could see he was a little frustrated and upset in this hockey game. It started in the first period. They got the early power play. Leon drew a penalty 20 seconds into the hockey game. Now, they didn't do much with that man advantage, and then the cameras catch him, getting into a little bit of a yelling match, whatever, there with Glenn Gulletson. I don't read into any of that shit. Athletes, competitors, in the moment, who gives a shit? But he also gave it a weird, half stomp at the bench. I don't know. Leon clearly looked frustrated, right? And then they did catch the cameras a little bit, a couple of minutes later. Him and Gulletson both telling secrets, so clearly everything was going to be fine. Leon then took a high sticking penalty against Sebastian Aho, where he looked visibly frustrated, wanted to take one out there on Sebastian Aho. And then the other one, which was the coolest, weirdest play of the game, Leon Draisaitl had the puck on his stick, skating up the ice, decided to just kind of move it over a bit, knock out the stick of the defender right in front of him, and then continue to keep skating with the puck. Incredible. I don't even know if anyone's ever thought to do that before. He did it so casually. There was a whistle later. He comes around the net, and you could see shit-eating grin on his face, but he was all over it in this game, whether or not he was frustrated, pissy, whatever word you want to use. Also got robbed there at the empty net goal at the very end of the game. What'd you think about Pissy Leon tonight?
Well, Pissy Leon is a good thing. I do always get concerned that needle is a very, very tenuous thing with him, and he sometimes does get into the penalty trouble with this team and its current issues on the penalty or taking the penalties. It just kind of compounds that. But when he's able to turn it around and take that emotion and turn it into offense, that's when we're doing okay as a team. So you're never upset at it that way. But yeah, there's always a good and a bad with the Pissy Leon when it's good and it's forwarded at the Carolina Hurricanes and the opposition. It's a great thing. And that pass was a thing of beauty. Went through 3 different Carolina Hurricanes to get to Corey Perry right in the spot, and credit to Corey Perry for being there and being the guy that is always in that spot ready to go.
I see Bella's in. I love me some Pissy Leon, though. Bosch as well. Love Pissy Leon. And, dude, I always say it. Sidney Crosby's got the best backhand shot in the NHL, but the best backhand passer, without a doubt, it's Leon Draisaitl. We've seen it year after year, game after game. He just finds a way to do absolutely insane things with that big, fat burger flipper of a blade that he's got on his stick, and he's able to do awesome, awesome things. Let's relive it all now. Let's go through the Greta Bar Yeg scoring summary brought to you by Greta Bar, because people, we are going to be at Greta March 14th for Oilers Nation Flight Night. Join us for Flight Night, March 14th, Greta Bar, as we watch Edmonton take on New York and get your shot at winning an unforgettable nation vacation to Vegas. One lucky winner and their guest will travel with the ON crew and all the nation citizens coming on this trip solely for coming to Greta and partying with us. You can get your ticket to the event at March 14th at Greta, nationgear.ca. It's presented by Fountain Tire, of course. And you come on down. You got to, as Brett said earlier, you got to eat some pizza taquitos, crush a couple beers with the fellas, watch pregame and watch Oilers Nation After Dark. And you, the viewer, that's right, could walk out of there with an all paid for nation vacation experience for you and a guest. Get over there at nationgear.ca and get your ticket for Flight Night at Greta. If I was able to win these things, I would be in every single one of these contests that we have all over this company. This one, you can come party with me at Greta. two birds stoned at once. Let's go now to our first goal of the hockey game. It's the Edmonton Oilers. It's Adam Rico Henrique scoring his 8th goal of the season. Not ideal. We just took a look at this a minute ago, but Matthias Janmark wins the race there in his own end, and I love the little zigzag from him and Rico. Once again, simple hockey. Throws it on net. Freddie Anderson makes the initial stop, kicks the rebound right out in front, and then Rico just driving to the hoop, driving to that blue paint, gets lucky, gets a bounce, and he scores his 8th of the season. And like, not only, Dan, the Oilers lately not been scoring first goals, haven't been scoring shorthanded goals, haven't really been getting depth goals. Rico hadn't been scoring goals. This was a great way to start the game 5 minutes in.
Yeah, I mean, for this team, and again, we're getting into penalty trouble, but for the penalty kill to be able to come out and just kind of exhibit that bend, don't break mentality. The Hurricanes were established in the zone for quite a bit of time there before the Oilers were able to kind of find their position and get that takeaway. And credit to Janmark for, just allowing Henrique to slip in and get advanced on the play. Puck goes off of him, and Rico is in the spot, stronger than the defenseman in the net.
I like this from Southpaw. Uncle Rico can still throw a pigskin a quarter mile. That's been my Instagram bio, I think, for the last 12 years of my life. Shout out Napoleon Dynamite. Shout out Uncle Rico. Also, no shout outs. Is there like a fight going on in the chat right now? Because I'm seeing a little bit someone with MM something. I see Brett's getting in there. I love a good spicy post-game victory chat where we get some trolls in. Once again, thank you for subscribing to the ON YouTube channel. Please throw down your courtesy like, chirp appropriately, all you want, appropriately. And yeah, of course, get in there. Let's duke it out. But continues. Corey Perry scores his 13th goal of the season, assisted by Leon Draisaitl and Brett Kulak. And this is just a microcosm of Brett Kulak's game because he was all over the ice tonight. He takes that puck in the offensive zone, plays a little give and go, gets a shot off, somehow gets his own rebound, then loses it, then forces a turnover, immediately gives the puck to Leon Draisaitl. You see Kulak, he's skating off the ice. He's done with his shift. And then Leon sends that nasty backhand pass over there to Corey Perry. He finishes that one off in the blue paint. I mean, it's a beautiful pass from Leon Draisaitl, but Dan, I need you to sing some love here for Brett Kulak because that was awesome. That was him. And we've seen it a lot. He's had the offensive touch at points this season, maybe earlier, cooled off a little bit. We saw it Thursday against the Florida Panthers where he had 5 shots on net. Brett Kulak was all over it here, but this goal doesn't happen without Brett Kulak.
No, I mean, yes, I do have to do my contractually obligated Brett Kulak love affair here. He is everything that you want of him. Every single time he is asked to have to step up with this team. In the absence of Darnell Nurse tonight, that left side looking pretty soft, pretty weak, and Brett Kulak is out there and just, again, not a guy that I want to have to commit to being the top left defenseman every single night. But for the last few games, he's been our best defenseman, and he's just everything you want on this play to be able to set it up, to get it over to Leon, to have Corey Perry be the forgotten man down low.
Brett Kulak led the Edmonton Oilers in ice time tonight, and he played 25 minutes and 45 seconds on the ice. Was incredible. Arguably every single one of those 30 shifts that I see here, courtesy of NHL.com stats. Brett Kulak can't say enough good things. And I'm going to continue to say good things later on when I got to hand out my 5 booms.
Crazy to think he's a guy that we were talking about as being trade expendable for the last few years. Just absolutely wild.
I have never had those words come out of my fucking mouth at one point ever, Daniel, because it wouldn't happen. It would be a terrible move. The line I said in the last game, but I'll continue to say it. You give me 6 Brett Kulaks on the defensive end, I give you the Stanley Cup. Hey,
I like it.
Then the Carolina Hurricanes score a goal. Jesus Christ, Bordzy, what are you trying to say here? Sebastian Aho's 22nd goal of the season. It's a power play goal. The big dogs on this power play for the Carolina Hurricanes, they were moving that puck. They were looking really, really good. This is arguably the sole Mikko Rantanen play that I thought was positive for the Carolina Hurricanes in this game. He continues to keep on struggling, right? But Rantanen makes a Beautiful cross ice feed over to Sebastian Aho, who finishes it off past Calvin Pickard. Feel bad for picks on that one. I mean, hey, he's going to have to allow one. I was thinking about the S word at this point. I can say it now, shutout, but obviously it was never meant to be. Tough one here. Once again, the Oilers taking way too many minor penalties in the last game. But Daniel, what'd you see here?
Well, that was one of the worst penalties I've seen called, or I saw called tonight. I did not think that Klingberg really did more than Blake did himself to be able to take that penalty in the first place. But yeah, we were playing with fire, and this is a Carolina Hurricane team that you could obviously see in their first few power plays isn't clicking on all cylinders, but they have some offensive talent on this squad. And man, oh man, was that a nice feed and deflection by Aho, and he was already blitzing behind the net in motion there after he'd scored the goal. So yeah, I mean, it was one of those things we had mentioned in the group chat that was probably just one too many penalties to take at that point, and then there they go and score a goal against us, and it is butt clenching time.
Oh, it was clenched, brother. It was clenched from this point on for the rest of the game. And right, Carolina came in tonight with the 22nd ranked power play in the NHL. But once again, you give a team that many opportunities. You have Rantanen, you have Jarvis, you have Sebastian A-hole, as I saw somebody put in the chat. That made me laugh. So gold star to you as well, whoever said that. They're going to find a way eventually, right? You're playing with fire, no matter the team. Eventually, you keep taking penalties like that, it's going to bite you in the ass. Then the next one, there was a Zach Hyman disallowed goal at this point. I thought so obviously a kick and kicking motion. And Zach Hyman tried to lie to his head coach and go over there and say, I didn't kick it. The moment they showed that replay, you're like, that's one of the more obvious kicks I've seen in a very long time. The Edmonton Oilers didn't challenge that one. Zach Hyman looked frustrated that they weren't. I was like, brother, just watch the replay. You absolutely just kicked that puck. It was going forwards. And then a couple minutes after that, Connor Brown almost scores a very chaotic goal that just about crossed the goal line. I really thought it did cross the goal line there when they showed it before, like after they came back from commercial. And I was like, why didn't we get a blown whistle? Then I saw the ultra zoom in. No, it was not a goal. But playing with my heart, Daniel, as we mentioned, clenched up for the rest of that. And then Evan Bouchard scores what is technically a power play goal. It's his 10th of the season, assisted by Leon and Connor McDavid, and cashed my Bouchard shot prop. Needed 3 shots. That did it with, I think, 0.4 seconds left in the hockey game as the Edmonton Oilers defeat the Carolina Hurricanes, snapping their 5-game losing streak as we head home for a Tuesday matchup against the Anaheim Ducks. Picks 35 of 36 saves for a 972. Freddie Anderson was very good as well, right? 28 saves on 30 shots for a 933. Let's go now to the good, the bad, and the oily, brought to you by Oodle Noodle. We ordered Oodle Noodle on Thursday. Unfortunately, I didn't get to order any Oodle Noodle this evening, but people, if you want to order some Oodle Noodle, download the Oodle Noodle app. How many times can I say Oodle Noodle in this ad read? It's easy, and you can earn free Oodle Noodle. Sign up for our loyalty program through the app. Customers can get 1,500 loyalty points, which is $15 in real value just for signing up. You can get it at the Google Play Store or the Apple Store if you're an iPhone man like myself. All right. Let's start it off with the good, because in this hockey game, we went with the depth scoring, right? And we kind of touched on it there in the beginning, but when Connor McDavid hasn't been at Connor McDavid levels, I think a lot of people would agree. I think the guy just needs a break. I really thought he shouldn't have played against Philadelphia, maybe not even against Washington, because it looks like he's been chasing it. But either way, we got goals, and we got them from some, I guess, less likely guys. Granted, Corey Perry has 13 of them on the season. We knew it wasn't going to be easy. That's why the Oilers needed all hands on deck. Struggling 5-on-5 at points. Leon Draisaitl trying to carry the second line all by himself, but he can't do it all by himself. Oilers needed the depth guys to step up, and it came from Rico and Perry. They're kind of two different stories. Rico been fighting it, man. Only had 7 goals on the season coming into this game. Still, it's only his 8th, but it's a hard-earned goal, not the prettiest one that you're ever going to see, and it was just a result of simple hockey and shorthanded nonetheless as well. Corey Perry, obviously, it's like He's like just another version of Zach Hyman, scoring them all there in the blue paint, finding a way to get to the dirty areas. But Daniel, in this game, depth scoring was everything.
Yeah, well, and I mean, if you go a step further even and you talk about those almost goals and then you talk about the sustained pressure, I counted 3 different chances or opportunities where the puck was heading towards the goal line and a defenseman stopped it instead of Frederick Anderson himself. So yeah, I really think that this team is way better than the entire forward group has shown the entire season, and needs to continue to prove that, and not just have it be Corey Perry or Adam Henrique, but having those bottom 2 lines clicking and flowing. And again, we keep talking about the blender, but it is just, I think, a reality for all these guys. And also I floated it out in the pre-gaming chat, but I think that perhaps a return of Derek Ryan might help steady this ship a little bit more. And that is to say that fourth line centerman is really an issue for this team, and continues to be an issue for the depth scoring to be able to continue to be consistent. But tonight it was wonderful.
I would still prefer Noah Philp over Derek Ryan, but once again, you know what you're going to get with Derek Ryan. I'm sure Waz loves that you just said what you said there, but Kasperi Kapanen, he started up here. I thought he exceeded expectations, and lately has really gone down and playing that fourth line center role. In here, Bosch has good most of the team, depth scoring, getting to the net, and Arvidsson not a lot of time on his bum, so that feels pretty good there. Ryan S. says Corey Perry almost has 15 goals. That's insane. 13 on the season. If the season ended now, if he had 82 games, he had 13 goals for $1.15 million, you'd be pretty happy with the value of that contract. And I like this from Percy. Keep the goon times rolling. That's pretty good. Southpaw also mentioned good, the PK. Yeah, the PK goes 3 for 4 in this, but I'm going to flip this to the bad because we picked way too many penalties. The Edmonton Oilers take 4 minor penalties in this hockey game after taking 6 against the Florida Panthers on Thursday night. Now, give the Oilers PK credit. They killed off all 6 of them against the Florida Panthers. The Oilers took 3 in the first period today. Game could have been blown wide open, but the Oilers PK stood tall. But you take another one later in the game there in the third period, you give Carolina a chance to come back in the game, regardless of if their power play is struggling. And of course, they find a way to not even the game, but come in between 1 goal there. And the Edmonton Oilers, you feel good about the penalty kill because it has been tough sledding here for quite some time. But that is not a sustainable pace. That is not a recipe for success in the National Hockey League. I think they're going to need to clean things up. I think frustration, maybe definitely on the Leon Draisaitl penalty, was a factor in this one. But Dan, 2 games, 10 minor penalties. Can't be doing that.
No, and I mean, I know that, and I think that the chat would agree with me when we say that the calls weren't great at all tonight for the most part. Perhaps the Draisaitl one being the most obvious and just is what it is. But as a team, you have to recognize that that's what's going on for you, and change the way that you play the game so as to adapt to that refereeing style. And taking that many penalties in the first period with a team that is struggling to get itself emotionally established in these games. You have a 1-0 lead out of the first period, but if things had gone off the rails, I really do worry that perhaps this team isn't is still too fragile, as Knobloch would put it, and that may have spelled differently for this team. But they did show the resilience, I guess, in the third period after giving up that penalty kill goal to be able to overcome. It's when you're playing with fire, you're going to get burned from time to time. And when this team cannot put the puck in the net more than 2 and 3 times a game, you can't be doing that.
Your margin for error is very, very slim when the Edmonton Oilers offense has been rocking the way that it has for much of the season. There's some other ones. Jeff Skinner throwing his teammate under the bus. Says bad, the McGiveaway. Yeah, that would have been horrible. I don't even want to begin to imagine what that would have been like in this post-game chat. Asian Lad also agrees with that. Hell of a name in there. Hello, Lad. And then number 1 fan says hot potato hockey. Yeah, I can agree with that one as well. As I said, both teams been struggling. Both teams been reeling. It looked like it in this hockey game tonight. With good comes bad. With bad comes oily. And this evening we went with just simply the streak snapped. Rejoice. We're starting off the month of March. Brett, give it to me again. Give me a big fat orange W. It's been a minute since we could take a look at something like this. February was absolutely brutal to the Edmonton Oilers. 4 points out of a possible 18. But here we go. We're going to kick it off. And then we've got 3 games this week, all on home ice. Tuesday against the Anaheim Ducks. Got to feel good about that. Thursday against the Canadiens. Should feel good about that. And then a real test against the Dallas Stars Saturday night in Edmonton. Hockey night in Canada. The boys are back. And you know, some home cooking. Connor McDavid needs to sleep in his bed again, right? I can only imagine how long it's been since he has slept in his own bed. Hopefully, as a Douglas mattress, proud sponsor of Oilers Nation every day. Troy says Connor McNeeds to go home and sleep. 1,000% correct, right? He's got to be so excited to get on that plane after this one and get back home. Hopefully, maybe the Oilers have a day off because, as I mentioned, 2 games in a row here without, or 2 days in a row without a game. Man, I'm struggling through my words today because the Oilers won a game and I'm very excited. Dan, the Oilie is the streak being snapped.
It's a great time to be an Oilers fan again. We are done losing. We are back. It is Cup year.
Cup year.
And we are having fun here. Brett Kulak is our best defenseman, just like we all planned. And we are back in the win column. I don't even think of February anymore. That calendar is ripped off the wall, and we're into some March weather. And we're gonna be doing just fine. Everything's fine. We played La Bamba tonight. We're gonna beat the Ducks on Tuesday, or is it Monday? Tuesday night, and a new win streak has begun.
Lousy March weather, Dan. That was an excellent Simpsons reference that you threw casually in there. If you understood it, like the video, because that's what guys like Dan and I need. That'll do it for the good, the bad, and the oily. Brought to you by Oodle Noodle. Let's go now to our boom and our doom performers of the evening. Brought to you by Odd Company, Nation Beer, Everyday Lager. Perfect for game day, perfect for every day. You can find these bad boys at 2 Odd Company locations in the Edmonton area or liquorconnect.com. I haven't said it in a while, but you can simply just tell your local liquor store attendant, hey, dude, can you start to order these for me? Because I'd like to drink these beers. If they're good at their jobs, they will do that for you. Like the guys all around my neighborhood, everything in Sherwood Park, now covered in Odd Company Nation beer because of yours truly. So get these. Come on. They're perfect for everything. Tomorrow, little Sunday, maybe you want a nice little afternoon brew, take it easy, avoid the Sunday scaries, or on a night like tonight, you want to keep the good vibes rolling. Well, Odd Company Nation Beer Everyday Lager can get you hooked up, get you feeling right. So shout out to them. Throw in your booms, throw in your dooms tonight. Daniel, you are my guest. I'll let you go first.
Do I do it to you? Am I going to be an absolute savage and pick Ty Emberson?
You can.
No,
I'll just add on to it. I see Brett was in here earlier, producer Brett, saying, quit glazing, Bordzy. What's Brett's jock smell like, Bordzy?
Oh, my
God.
God.
Smells like a great hockey player. Smells like 25 minutes on the ice tonight, Brett.
I'm going to take my boom.
He's in the background. He's in my head.
My boom for the night, I will take Calvin Pickard. Absolutely stellar performance from the guy. When we needed a goaltender to give us a win, he was able to do so. He kept us in that third period when this team could not seem to figure out how to score an empty net goal to save their lives. And then the captain made him get an extra test just to make sure that exclamation point was put on the big W. So my boom is Calvin.
Yeah, absolutely right. And he could have been the good. He can be anything. He needs a big boom out there. Jeff Skinner's in, says beef between Bordzy and Brett. I've said it a lot. This tattoo bet is tearing the two of us apart every step of the way. We're always arguing about it, especially Brett Kulak's 8 blocks in the last game. Mackay and Dry. I didn't say it, Brett. They said it, not me, so I'm not even going to read it out loud. But obviously for me and my boom, it's Brett Kulak. He was fantastic yet again. 2 games in a row, he's the best Oilers defenseman on the ice and possibly the best player on the entire ice for the Edmonton Oilers. He elevated to the second pairing with John Klingberg while Darnell Nurse stays out day to day with an injury. He led the Oilers in ice time with 25 minutes and 42 seconds. He registered an assist on the Corey Perry goal by being in the offensive zone, getting a scoring chance, forcing a turnover, then getting the puck to the best player on planet Earth this season in one Leon Draisaitl. Brett Kulak continues to drive in whatever role you need him to play, whether it's first pairing, second pairing, third pairing. Dude, you could put him on the power play, and I'm sure he'd be able to find a way. Now, probably prefer not to do that, but he's good on the PK as well. He's been eating pucks lately, had a couple more in this one. Once again, you could give a boom to Ty Emerson as well. He was eating some pucks in this game. I thought he was very physical out there as well. But Brett Kulak through and through. He was my boom the last game. He's my boom today as well because he gets 5. Boom, 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 boom. Sorry about your friend. Anything else here in the chat for booms? I think the only other one that you could pick is like a Corey Perry, right? I thought he scored a big goal in this one as well. And the thing about Corey Perry is like he's the oldest man on this team. He gets in a fight Thursday against the Florida Panthers, trying to drag his team back into that fight, that metaphorical fight, whatever. And then in this one, he scores a big goal yet again, 13 of them on the season. We got booms, Bosch, sharper looking line changes. Yep, that's for sure. That's been an issue plaguing the Edmonton Oilers lately. Boom, Pickard for show. Boom, Pixie. Calvin Boom, Pickard, 100%. Daniel, don't want to rain on any parades, but do you have any dooms you want to give out from this hockey game?
I do. You know, we were talking about Adam Henrique and his obvious or seemingly obvious looking at the paper clippings that are talking about his trade ability. There's another man that is being talked about quite heavily in the trade talks, and that is one Victor Arvidsson. Had another game where the guy spent more time on the ice than he did setting up any offense. And it's just become really frustrating for me for a guy that has been given and gifted every opportunity with this team to be able to give us some scoring on the wings, and didn't even see a shot out of the guy tonight. So, I don't want to pile on him, but I do think that we may be seeing him head out the door. And so for me, it's just kind of shocking that it continues to be the exact same show from Victor Arvidsson. Yeah,
I tell you, brother, it's getting tiring with only a couple more days here. We're not sure about the Evander Kane situation. We'll talk more about the trade deadline here because we also had a massive trade go down during this game today as well with, of course, the Florida Panthers, I think, getting much better. Brad, we don't need to pull it up right now. We'll do it a little bit separate later on. But I was going to add, Mackay and Dry said, can we also boom Slavin? Dude should be a Norris candidate. Yeah, man, this dude, every time I watch him, as I said, hand up accountability. I don't watch a ton of Carolina Hurricanes hockey games. I doubt a lot of you in the chat do. So in the Four Nations, it was an eye-opening experience. It was different, man. That guy is one of, if not the best shutdown defenseman in the entire NHL. I thought he was awesome in this one. 24-24 time on ice in this game. And once again, hey, Connor McDavid, if you want to have a better game, maybe it's not going to come against Carolina Hurricanes, Jacob Slavin, when they have last change on home ice. For me and my doom, I don't want to give it to any Edmonton Oilers, so I'm just going to say Mikko Rantanen, because since he has joined this Carolina Hurricanes team, they have just plummeted back down, brother. They're currently second in the Metro Division. Actually, might not even be after this hockey game because they've been slipping. They were 4-5-1 in their last 10 heading in. Now I believe they're 3-7-0 in their last 10. Ever since he's joined the squad, they've struggled. I know he had a good assist in this game on the power play there, but maybe as a larger picture, I'm going to give my doom to Mikko Rantanen because it's just, and then you hear the rumors that Carolina might be trading him at the deadline as well. It's like, what the hell were you doing? Marty Necas was having a great season for you. Now he's already more than a point per game player, 13 points, 12 games with the Colorado Avalanche. And you're sitting here in this situation, and the same thing last year with Jake Gensel, right? And I don't know, Carolina Hurricanes, they can't fault them. They take swings. You just don't know if these swings are actually going to hit. Mikko Rantanen, you get the doom. Thoughts, Dan?
Yeah, Carolina is a confusing team. There is something going on there between Jake Gensel's refusal to sign, and now you've got this big Rantanen pickup. And yeah, it seems like out of left field, out of nowhere, we're talking about perhaps Rantanen going somewhere else. I saw it floated out in Canucks land earlier today. Elias Pettersson for Mikko Rantanen, who says no.
Of course we saw that in Canucks land, because no one would in their right mind ever say yes to a trade like that. EP40, it's tough sledding over there in Vancouver, man, and I'm loving it over here watching. I mean, we're just in a 5-game losing streak, don't get me wrong, but I'd rather experience that than whatever the hell is going on with this self-implosion that is the Vancouver Canucks. A lot of people, I like this from Mackay and Dry. Marty Necas looking like the Luka Doncic of this trade. Yeah, and maybe he might be more motivated than ever. Asian lad in again. That's his name, people, for the podcast listeners. I'm not just saying that. Necas was going to do better than Rantanen, in my opinion. Rantanen has only played with McKinnon in his career. The chemistry for so long makes a difference. That's why Dry greater than Mikko Rantanen. Because Dry, he won't do it on his own because he's never going to leave, but he would be more than able and capable of doing so. Let's go now to Bordzy's Bankroll, brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's a never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app today. Use the promo code NATION, NATION. And Bert, hit it for me, brother, because we did okay. We did 2 for 3 yet again. Feels like it's been a minute since we've gone 3 for 3. Also, it's because we had 2 weeks off without the Four Nations break. But the first one, Evan Bouchard, took him all of 59 minutes and 59 seconds in this hockey game, but he cashed it with his empty net goal on the power play. He finishes with 3 shots on goal. That one, it's a nice juicy plus 125. That means Bouch has hit this shot prop in 8 of his last 12 hockey games and has hit this shot prop in more than half of his games in this entire season. Bouchard, it might not feel the way because they're always hitting shin pads, but it's been more consistent lately of getting around here. So who knows? Tuesday, maybe we'll be riding with Evan Bouchard. Then it's the boy, Brett Kulak, needed 2+ blocked shots. Not even good odds on this thing, but they don't offer anything with Brett Kulak very often. So you know I had to smash this thing. And my boy, like he always does, he takes care of me here, and he makes sure I go home with a winning bet here. Minus 175. And then finally, it's Zachary Martin Hyman. It's an X on that one. He's not able to get 3 shots on the evening. Just looking at this. Yeah, he finished with 2.
Just a kick away.
There was that empty net craziness at the end of the game there too. So I just needed Bouchard or Hyman to do something. I wasn't going to get all 3. But hey, I'll take the one with the more juice in one Evan Bouchard. I know Brett made a spider also. Guy and Dry put Brett Tatulak. That makes me pretty funny. And Brett started that for me behind the scenes. Bert, if you're there now, if you want to hop on here and tell me how'd the spider go? I know Taylor Hall didn't score, so kind of out the window, right?
So the spider definitely did not come to fruition there. But halfway through the game, in fact, right at the commercial break before it happened, after Dan said, I don't think Corey Perry's ever going to score again. I sat there and went, maybe anytime goal scorer for this guy. Took a look. Went, why not? Come out of the commercial break. Scored. Let's go, baby. I'll take that. And then I also may have bet on Mexican soccer as well, but that's different.
Hashtag fade Dan in effect.
Yeah, it was hashtag fade Dan in the chat. And I mean, pretty much instantly that bet then cashed. Brett, you've been spreading your wealth here on a little college basketball, a little bit of hockey, a little bit of that. Should we bet on the Oscars tomorrow? Because earlier I was looking through Bet365. You can actually bet on the Oscars. I've never done that before. I think I'm going to get a little crazy tomorrow, responsibly, of course. Only bet what you're willing to lose. But I don't know. I love movies. I've seen all of these movies. I feel like I got some insider information here, maybe of, I don't know, like everybody does their Oscar ballots. Why not take it over to Bet365 and try and win some money? Let me know in the chat. What's going to win Best Picture? Who's winning Best Actor? Give me your picks out there because I want to see if they line up with what I've got going in my brain.
You've seen all these movies? You a big Amelia Perez guy?
No, I didn't like that movie, but I saw that movie. I've seen Anora, Conclave, Complete Unknown, Substance. I didn't watch Wicked, but whatever. I can
Yeah.
imagine the costumes were pretty good in that. I think that one will win that. But either way, shout out Bet365. You can bet on pretty much anything you want, including the Oscars, the Academy Awards going down. All you got to do is search Academy Award, not awards. I don't know why. Academy Award in the search menu. And then you can bet on pretty much everything that they're giving out tomorrow. So shout out Bet365. And then while I have you here, Bert, should we, I don't know if you showed it earlier. I see it in the bottom of my screen right now. So why don't we take a peek at an updated tattoo bet standings? As here it is. Brett Kulak with a healthy 7 blocked shot lead over Brett and Ty Emerson. And for most of this game, dude, Emerson had 3 blocked shots basically from the get-go. And I was like, man, he's already going to be closing the gap and whatnot. And I'm getting a little bit nervous. In the time frame of the last 5 minutes of that hockey game, and I'm getting set up over here to do the show, I look at the box score again and I go, oh, Brett Kulak finished with 2 block shots on the evening. So Brett only gained 1 on me by aggregate. Feeling good about this one. But once again, there's 22 more games remaining in this season. So this thing far from over, dude. A 7 block shot lead. Absolutely nothing. But both of our boys were eating pucks tonight.
Dude, it was the exact same thing for me as well. I sat there and went, three block shots, baby, let's go. And as I'm sitting there getting ready, stressed out because I'm like, hey, none of that. Somebody shoot the puck. Zach Hyman, shoot the puck. Evan Bouchard, somebody shoot the puck. So I know that I can put one of these check marks here and all that. Take a look at the box score just to make sure there were no sneaky shots that I missed. Oh, just kidding. We demanded the recount, and guess what? I don't know. Again, phantom, pseudo. Tell me where they happened. Just like the blocked pass that you got, just like the one that I watched go up on there, the Emberson blocks that have been taken away for some reason. Oh, yeah, we'll take away Emberson's, but we won't take away blocked passes from Brett Kulak. I demand a recount. This is a farce.
It's one of my favorite things we've ever done because, as I've said, just ripping Brett and I apart at the seams every single day. We're chirping, we're texting. Also, Jeff Skinner said Emerson will win this. Bordzy is too confident. I just said there's 22 games left and a 7 block shot lead is not a lot. Jeff Skinner, you're coming to Connor McDavid. Don't you come at me, brother. And then also fighting Amish. This made me laugh. He said Ty Emerson is just an 8-game block heater from getting back in the race. That's beautiful. That's poetic. Shout out to you. Comment of the day. That one makes me laugh so far. That's also Kiana says Brett ain't salty at all. Yeah. Also Blake said, oh, sorry, wrong one. Blake says farce is a good word.
Yeah.
It is a good word.
Yeah. There used to be a show, I think it was, what was it? The
Royal Canadian Air Farce.
Royal Canadian Air Farce. That's what it was.
CBC.
And I loved it growing up. So I think that's where I learned it from.
Shout out Royal Canadian Air Farce. And this hour has 22 minutes.
This hour is 22 minutes. That was kind of where I was thinking about that as well. Jeff Skinner, we chill, we cool, don't worry. But this bet, it's going to be going on until the end of the season. And as I said, 7, dude, that is basically nothing. Final thing that I want to plug here for is the trade deadline show coming up March 7th, this upcoming Friday on the Daily Faceoff YouTube channel. The best damn trade deadline coverage, period, brother. March 7th, 11 a.m. Eastern, so 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Keep it locked on the DFO YouTube because we are going live for hours. It says from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. We've every single year gone over that because late trades come in, they're coming in late, breaking in late, all that kind of news and whatnot. And it'll be hosted by Tyler Remchuk, Frank Saravalli, up in his little insider box corner up here. And we'll be breaking everything, getting live guests on possibly some guys that have been traded because last year we had a number of good guys. And as I said, I'm producing this entire show. It is going to look so damn good. Dan, I was telling you about this on Friday. I've been putting in the work. I've been putting in the hours behind the scenes on this thing. I am so excited to do this show and then crush Odd Company Nation beers after this show is over because it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of stress. And then that post, oh, it's so good. But Dan, this is going to be a great show.
Well, hey, I think that it couldn't get any better because it has Aaron producing it. But I think next year, once you're done setting up all this stuff behind the scenes, we should bring a chicken cannon into the daily face-off deadline coverage. That's another Air Farce reference if you missed that.
That one went right over the top of my head, brother. But
the chicken cannon.
I appreciate you giving me the love there, because yes, I will be pushing all the buttons behind the scenes. Can you believe they let me do that? I'm just kidding. It's going to be a great show. But we got some news during the game today. The Florida Panthers making a splash here. Once again, these teams got to keep making these trades before the trade deadline show on Friday. I don't like that. I want a jam-packed show on Friday, selfishly, but the Florida Panthers, they acquire defenseman Seth Jones in a 2026 fourth-round pick in exchange to the Blackhawks, a 2026 first-round pick. Goaltender Spencer Knight. And here's the weird part about all of this, dude. The Chicago Blackhawks, they're going to retain $2.5 million of Seth Jones' $9.5 million contract for the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seasons, making Seth Jones basically a $7 million defenseman for the Florida Panthers, which I think most people would say they're pretty okay with that. I do think Seth Jones has just been kind of covered in this stink of his contract and then the stink of playing in the Chicago Blackhawks organization, right? I do think there's a good player under there. And once again, Florida, pretty set on the back end already. So he's going to step into a role that I'm sure he's going to exceed those expectations. Daniel, thoughts on the deal? Thoughts on the Blackhawks retaining $2.5 million for 5 seasons?
Well, I mean, that's a sign that the Chicago Blackhawks, I think, made a mistake and really screwed up the defenseman market a couple years ago when they gave Seth Jones the smoke that they did. So that's a bit of them waving the white flag. I am not a fan of any time that a player really kind of shotguns his way out of a city. The way that Seth Jones did it, I'm not a big guy on that kind of front. I don't like when players do that, especially when I've been on the receiving end of that as an Edmonton Oilers fan. But going to the deal, I think it's really just, it's telling to the Edmonton Oilers and to every team out there that defense is going to win you these championships. And you look at the top teams around the league right now, their top 4 are all pretty damn solid. And when you line them up against an Edmonton Oilers, it just isn't there yet. And this is a big price, I think, for the Florida Panthers to pay to get to that level of confidence again after losing a Radko Gudas last year and a Brandon Montour on the back end. Not necessarily skipping a beat, but you've just replaced that body with another good defenseman here in Seth Jones. Again, put aside the fact that he walked himself out of Chicago, and again, a bad situation that he was a part of and was kind of, the piece that they built around on the back end. But yeah, it is crazy to see the Chicago Blackhawks retaining $2.5 million for the next 5 years to kind of admit that mistake, where Seth Jones now at $7 million really kind of makes sense as a defenseman.
Yeah, I mean, it really does. Maynard just had to point this out. The Jones contract was authored by one Stan Bowman. Yeah. But he's just screwing over other teams. He wouldn't do that to the Edmonton Oilers, right? That won't happen with Evan Bouchard. Woo! That joke kind of hurt myself right there. But Spencer Knight, the other guy in the deal, right? So Chicago, to me, I see if they're going to retain $2.5 million for 5 seasons. There's 2 thoughts I had initially. 1, they don't plan on being competitive for quite some time. 2, maybe because the salary cap is expected to go up so much in the next couple of years here that $2.5 million really is chump change to acquire a first-round pick and a goaltender who would ideally become your goaltender of the future. And you can kind of put him and Connor Bedard and a couple of these other young guys in that same kind of boat, right? Spencer Knight, 23 years old, former 13th overall pick. He's got good numbers this season, 12, 8-1, 2.40 goals against, 907 save percentage. Watch those numbers just implode the second he gets to the Chicago Blackhawks organization. But either way, I can see it a little justification there from the Chicago Blackhawks and their brain trust as well. But let me know in the chat what you think about the trade. Jeff Skinner says poor Bedard. Yeah, they're kind of just taking out all of the Taylor Hall first, Now you got Seth Jones here as well. Connor Bedard. The cupboard's a little bit empty. Finally, one thing that I want to mention. Also, I guess we're just saying ridiculous things in the chat now. Trade RV for Bedard. Come on, people. I want to give just one overall ad read for the Nation Vacation, people. It's coming up March 30th to April 2nd, 2025. You can win your way in with all these other contests we got going on, or just head on over to nationgear.ca for more details. You can get your full flight option booked. You can do a non-flight option where you handle your own flights. You can even have an option where you just come and meet us at the game and you get a ticket to the game, able to watch up in the Stella Artois Lounge, and you can party with guys like Brett and I, because we're going to be having an awesome time on this trip. Once again, visit nationgear.ca. Connor Brown is in the chat now. He says Pickard was stellar and Kulak was amazing. That's how he started the show, Dan. That's how we're going to end the show as well, buddy. Big shout out to all of you in the chat. Throw down your courtesy like, because the Edmonton Oilers is a big fat orange W. Brett, give it to me one more time before we head out. I want to see it. There it is, baby. And now the Edmonton Oilers return home for 3 consecutive home games. Rogers plays some home cooking. McDavid gets to sleep in his bed. The boys are so back, baby. I want to give a thank you to all of our sponsors, though. Greta Bar Yegg, Oodle Noodle, Odd Company Nation Beer, Bet365, Come on the Nation Vacation, watch the Daily Face-Off Trade Deadline Special, and then I do think that I missed some super chats, so just give me a second. Dukes is in, and he says 1-game win streak. Let's go. As I've said, beggars cannot be choosers. Bosch, smiley profile pic back on. Gold, Bordzy. Gold. That's Kenny Banya. Because it's a cup, yeah. Dogs, stick taps as well for Ben. Earlier, he had the sad face for Kenny Banya when they've been losing. He said if they won, he'd change his photo. And we've got a happy Kenny Banya from Seinfeld. That'll do it for us here on Oilers Nation After Dark. Celebrate the win. Have a great Saturday. Be safe out there, of course. And then reminder, we'll be live back on this Oilers Nation YouTube channel Monday, 12:01 Mountain Standard Time for Oilers Nation every day. The next time we'll be pre-gaming and post-gaming. That's Tuesday against the Anaheim Ducks when the Edmonton Oilers host them down at Rogers Place. Dan, any final words for the folks out there?
You know what? Just have a great Saturday night. Get home safe if you're out right now.
There you go. I like that. Very responsible, Dan. Very adult of you. I love you all. Be safe. Over and out. We'll talk Monday and Tuesday. Peace.